Hey guys. Hello everyone. I am making artichoke white bean dip today, and yeah, join along. I have been wanting to make this one for a few days, and the reason being, I cooked up some white beans in the Instant Pot. It's really dark in my house, and I feel like I have crazy shadows on my face. Hang on. Let's try this. It is so dark in the Vancouver area. If you're in Oregon, I guess, or Washington, you're probably in the same boat. It's been gray and rainy and dark, and we desperately need some sunshine. Just a little bit, please. Anyhow, making artichoke white bean dip today. And like I said, I made some white beans in the Instant Pot before New Year's to make baked beans. And then I've had them ready to use for another recipe. And it was going to come on here a few days ago and make this recipe, but you know, life got in the way. So here we are today. And a couple of things I was going to mention. Oh, okay. First, the recipe's on my site. The recipe link is in the description on the video, so you can go see it. And it's really, really good. Someone gave it a 1-star review, so ignore that because I'm telling you it's really good, and lots of other people have said it's good, but it just shows up as a 1-star review. So look past that and make the dip. So this is a really nice alternative to kind of like a standard hummus. It's also a really nice way to use artichokes, and my kids, interestingly, 2 of my daughters never liked artichokes for a long time, and one still doesn't. But when I make this dip, they'll eat it and they love it. And it's one of those examples where we can say, we don't always need to know what's in a dish. We just need to know it tastes good, right? But I do like to tell my kids afterwards, you know, hey, what do you think was in that? Especially when they were younger. What do you think was in that today? And then they'll guess and come to the conclusion that, what? I ate artichokes, what? Or whatever it would be, right? And I'm going to throw my apron today. Okay, so I've had this apron for a while and haven't used it because I thought, oh, it's too nice. And I was using it, actually have bought it for my photo shoot for Dreena's Kind Kitchen, like for the cover photo. I never used it. And I thought, okay, well, I'll keep it for a special occasion. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? What is my special occasion to use this apron? Me thinks it's right now. I'm going to wear it now instead of leaving it in the cubby hole in my cabinets and saying one day I'll wear that apron. What is that all about? So, wearing my apron for a special occasion. Anyone else do that? Oh goodness, tell me what you're up to today, guys, and what you're making and what you're doing. And I'll also mention that this recipe comes from Let the Meat Vegan if you have the cookbook. And I don't have this adjusted very well. And thank you. I posted yesterday, was that yesterday, about how Let the Meat Vegan has been printed in black and white because the publisher that I had at that time felt the sales were low, so they wanted to save money on printing. They didn't want to invest in more print runs in color copies, so they printed it in black and white. So that means that the photos are in black and white and all of the text. So if you have one, I kind of encourage you to return it if you can, because that's not cool. You're paying full price for it. So, but many of you were really kind and reached out to me, and I just want to say thank you for that because you know, it's really lovely. And I'm not going to say it didn't bum me out. It did bum me out. I'm still feeling a little bummed out about it today. But we can't control these situations, only how we react to them, right? So I'm going to figure out what to do. And I may take more than several, a collection of my favorite recipes in this book and tweak them, make them easier, all oil-free, and perhaps do an ebook. I'm not sure. We'll see. Anyhow, gotta show you this. Are we 5 minutes into the video and I haven't even started it? Someone sent this to me yesterday. Can you read that? Is it backwards? You are stronger than you seem, braver than you think, and smarter than you think you are. It's an adaptation from Winnie the Pooh, apparently. So I printed that off and put it on my fridge because I think that's beautiful for the whole family to read, the kids, all of us. All right, time to get cooking. good looking. Time to get cooking, good looking. Here we are, and we are starting with artichoke hearts, white beans. We need lemon juice, red wine vinegar, garlic. The original recipe, I had a little bit of olive oil in it, and this one, it's oil-free. So yeah, have you made this, guys? Have any of you made it? And chime in, where are you from? What are you doing today? I'm just rolling out my lemon a bit to get the juices out. Okay, artichokes. I'm really missing being able to get artichokes in the States at Trader Joe's because they're frozen there and the flavors and texture is really, really good. So I've been buying them canned and they're quite mushy, but you know, that's all you could do. It's not such a big deal for a recipe like this where they're pureed. It's just, they taste better and the texture is nicer when they are fresher, and those frozen ones have a fresher quality. So I have used canned artichokes and also a small jar of marinated ones, and I've rinsed them really well. So this is what we have, are our artichoke hearts. If you try to make artichokes or cook artichokes from scratch, it's a lot of work. It's a bit of a pain in the bum. So I really encourage you to use ones that are in cans. If you can get them frozen, even better. So we need 2 cups for this. And when I use frozen, I blanch them a little bit. And then sometimes you get like coarse bits in the artichokes, especially the frozen ones. And when you do, I like to just trim that off. Apparently it's really bad to put artichokes down the carburetor, so don't do that. I did that once and killed a carburetor. And we were renting an apartment at the time, and the guy said, "Did you put artichokes down there?" And I was like, ah! But so anyhow, I'm doubling this batch, and we need 2 cups for the batch, and I don't have quite 4 cups to double it. So I'm going to modify, and that's what I want to show you in this recipe and kind of offer up, is that you can always modify things, right? What's really helpful to do with a recipe is to do it the original way first. Get a sense of see, this artichoke is really, really, to me, it's really tough on the edges. So I'm going to kind of discard that bit. And I didn't intend to, it seems kind of ironic that I chose this recipe after my post yesterday about let them eat vegan. It's not planned. I had actually planned to do this recipe days and days ago. And if I don't use these beans soon, I'm gonna have to freeze them, right? Because you can only keep them in the fridge for about, and again, this part of the artichoke right here is really tough, quite coarse. So I'm peeling that bit away. So I actually have just over 2 cups. So I'm gonna tell you what I'm going to do to modify that as we go. You people are very quiet today. Are you out there? What are you doing? Very, very quiet. Can you comment? I think you can. Let me know if you can comment, because my comment moderation is saying something funky. So I hope you can comment. And fresh lemon juice. Where's my lemon reamer? Oh, it's right next to me. That's why it's right next to me. You can buy the bottles of lemon juice. I find that fresh lemons just, again, they taste better. So if you have the time to give, a few squeezes, go for it. And if you're using organic lemons, take a few minutes to get some of the rind off. Thank you, Mylene. Hi, from Montreal. I'm so glad you commented so that I know I'm actually live and I'm connecting with you guys. Thank you. And I appreciate that. I might do the ebook. It will take a little bit of work because I'll have to get a photographer to do all the recipes and, a lot of editing and organizing, that kind of thing. But I think it would be fabulous. And there are so many recipes in there. Like, that book has more recipes than any of my books. How many does it have? Yeah, 200 recipes. And there's a lot that I haven't even shared online or talked about, but I really, really love. So I may just do that. So I'm just going to strain out the seeds, organic lemons have a ton of seeds. Have you guys noticed that? When I buy non-organic lemons, there's not many seeds, and then I buy organic and there's like about a dozen seeds in one little lemon. That's kind of crazy. So we need 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice for one batch, which means obviously I'm doing, our math is 3. How did the seed get in there? And I actually have 3, so that's great. So my youngest Hope really dislikes math, and any of you with little kids know the pain of getting kids to do math homework when they really dislike math. And she's like, I'll never use math. And I said, well, you will. Because for instance, when mommy does recipes and I need to double a recipe, then I can easily go in my head and double it. And I was telling her a story about my mom, who's in Newfoundland, and she said she's gone out to stores and bought things and say like it's 20% off or 40% off, and she works it out in her head. And she's had people say to her like, at cash, how did you know that? And my mom's like, oh my gosh, how do people not have these like math skills? And I think that, I don't know, math has been taught in different ways in the last decade or two, and kids are not often getting it, and it really makes it challenging for them. So I keep reminding her of my recipes, and then Nanny's wisdom. Nanny's wisdom always makes more impact than my stories anyways, right? Now, 1 small to medium clove of garlic in this hummus. If you are a garlic lover, then add more, right? You know you love garlic. When a dip like this is raw and it's not being cooked, the garlic flavor is really going to be strong compared to if you're cooking garlic on the stove or in the oven. So I actually have 2 fairly good sized cloves, so I'm just going to remove a bit from one of them. Here we are. What else we got here? Okay, so we need the white beans, of course. So these are the white beans I cooked, and then I buy dates from like, where do I get these? The Superstore has them in our area, like the PC store and Walmart and that kind of thing. And these are nice pitted dates, inexpensive, and then the containers are great for storing things in the fridge. Oh, I'm seeing comments. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Nice to see you. And Sarah from Sydney, Australia. Hi. What time of day is it there? And you're in summer, right? So I'm very, very jealous. Please send me some sunshine, or can someone find me a way to get to Hawaii, please? Someone, I don't know. I want to live in Hawaii. Live out the rest of my days in Hawaii. Yeah, that's my dream. A retirement home, or just move there. Like, someone wants to hire me in Hawaii, right? That I could do vegan cooking there, I think, right? I have to figure that out. All right, the recipe calls for a can of white beans. When you measure out a can of beans, depending on the beans, you get a different yield. A can of chickpeas is about 1 3/4 cups because they're big beans, and when you measure them out, they kind of pile up higher in the measuring cup. If you measure out a can of black beans, you're going to get about 1.5 cups. It's interesting. You think it's all the same, but it's not. So a can of white beans is, if you're using the bigger beans, is about, 1 3/4 cups. So I just put in 2 cups. So math is telling me I need another 1.5 cups. But because I'm low on artichokes, I'm going to add a little more. That's almost, it's about 1 3/4. I'm going to puree it all, and then I may add more beans because I have more in the fridge. Okay, so what else do we need here? I'm going to actually puree this right now, and I'll tell you why. Because I like to get the garlic moving with less ingredients, like not completely full. I like to get that garlic churning and broken down. So here we go. It's going to be noisy. Okay, now I'm going to also add red wine vinegar. Oh, Sarah's saying it's 7:20 a.m. Woo! But it rained all summer. it's rained so far all summer. Okay, so we're just going into winter, right? And it's been raining here. Yes, I'm glad you've not had fire so far this year. Thank heavens. Let that continue. All right, so the original recipe, one batch, half a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. Doubling it, we're gonna add one full tablespoon. Now, you could add more lemon juice, but red wine vinegar adds a different flavor component. So I really like this in this dip. And in fact, if you were to make a substitution, I'd probably use a little more red wine vinegar to substitute for the lemon juice instead of the reverse, because it really adds a nice, like, almost like a bit of umami to the dip. Speaking of which, we're also going to add nooch. I actually use a lot of nooch in this recipe, which I don't normally use that much. It calls for 1/3 of a cup, but I'm going to go a little less. Again, because I don't have the full amount of artichokes, so I'm just going to reduce the nooch a little bit. And for any of you watching in the vegan realm, we tend to call nutritional yeast nooch. So if you're saying, what is she saying? It's nooch. That's what it means. And that adds also that umami flavor. That's really nice in the recipe. And a little bit of fresh rosemary. So I call for only a ½ teaspoon. So basically I'm going to strip this leaf or this stalk, and to do that you just put your hand on the top of it and then pull down. Okay, that's too tender there. Pull down in the opposite direction. See that? And then I get all the leaves here. This part is tender. You could still chop that off. And then you can chop it and measure it. Looking at this, I know that that's going to be pretty close to a teaspoon. So I'm just going to get it on in there. And a little bit of parsley, which you don't have to add. It adds a nice little fleck of color, another little bit of flavor, but if you don't have fresh parsley, I would not use dried. I don't find they taste similar. Many times, I will say most times I don't like to substitute dried herbs for fresh if it's in something that's not being cooked. It's a dip or sauce and you're not really cooking it, I prefer to just stick with fresh and substitute with a different one if you have to. And salt and pepper. So we've got 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Again, I'm going to use a little less because I don't have the full amount of artichokes. And math is telling me that's a little less than 1½ teaspoons. There we go. And pepper to taste. So just go with your desire for black pepper, what you like. Do I have everything? I don't have the parsley in yet. Oh, a little bit of tahini. Let's get this going first. And by the way, this is a Burville 16-cup processor. I've talked about this one before. So it can take multiple batches of like hummus or a double batch of burgers. So it's a nice machine for, you know, how much the capacity, what you're using. If you're going to invest in a food processor, get one that's perhaps 14 cups at least. And then you can do these double batching kind of thing. Tahini. Okay, where did I put it? I took it out, guys. Oh, over here. Okay. It's one of those days. It's so dark and I'm a little spacey. So in the original recipe, I had olive oil. And then making this oil-free, because I started my transition in making oil-free recipes just after Let the Meat Vegan came out. And I'll say that a good deal of those recipes are oil-free or are things like you know, soups or something where you can completely omit the oil without any issue. Like it might have a ½ teaspoon of oil in the original recipe. So here, because I'm not using oil, which gives a certain mouth feel, if you know what I mean, like it gives a certain lusciousness. If you're not using it, it's nice to replace it with another whole foods fat. Right now we have almost no added like fat to this. Of course, there's a tiny amount, right? There's trace amounts in the beans, and all foods have a little bit, but it's nice to add something for that luscious flavor. So I'm going to use a little bit of tahini. Brands of tahini vary so much, guys. Experiment and find one that has a mellow flavor. I do like this one. It's New World tahini. But another one that I found that is amazing, hang on, is this guy. I have it upside down to store it in the fridge. And the flavor is really mellow, and it's a squeezable one. So let's see if enough of it is drained out now. Yeah, there we go. So this takes a while to come out, obviously. But if you're using it on soups or salads or breads or something like that, that's why I love this. The squeezable, and the flavor is really nice. But I don't have quite enough here, so I'm going to scoop. So what I'm going to add is perhaps a tablespoon, and then taste after. I think I might use a bit more, but tahini can taste a little bit pronounced, right? If you use a lot of it, you can taste it, the sesame flavor, quite a bit. But I think I do want a little bit more here. That's about 1.5 tablespoons, and then we'll see after how it tastes. And a little bit of parsley. Jack says, we call it hummus. Yes, I do too. Because in the description of the video, I say, do we call it a dip or a hummus? I have been almost shouted at on my blog for calling variations of hummus. Like, there's a very purist view on hummus. And when I call like a sweet potato hummus that, or something else like this, a hummus, people get mad, really mad at kind of abusing that traditional definition of a recipe. But for me, food and recipes are meant to be, you know, customized in ways and enjoyed. And I don't think we need to put such strict labels on a definition of a recipe. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of flat leaf parsley. That's about 2 tablespoons. I always have parsley on hand because I use it in our morning green smoothies. And I know green smoothies aren't really, I guess, in fashion right now. I don't know, we go through like food phases. I still make them because it gives us a good dose of greens, and I get flaxseed in there and lemon juice. I put a whole peeled lemon in there, and ginger, which I find really good this time of year, really heating. And it's not a super fruity smoothie, it's almost like a green juice. So I still use it, and I keep parsley on hand all the time, which is rich in iron, rich in vitamin K, calcium, all kinds of good things. And it lasts for a long time in the fridge. So I think that is everything, and we're gonna give that another blitz. And just scrape it down a little. I got myself a new spatula, and I really like it because it's all one piece, right? One full piece of like the silicone. It's really nice. Between my new spatula and my apron that I was saving for special occasions, I am just really hitting it today. Fancy stuff. Okay, so now we need to taste it, and then we decide, do we want a little more lemon? Do we want a little more salt, pepper, garlic, all of those things, right? Or maybe I want to add more beans because I still have extra beans on hand. Okay, so I'm not even using like a cracker, I'm just tasting it. It's a little flat, so I'm adding a tiny bit more salt, a little more salt, and now a little more pepper. I think it has enough garlic for me and for our family. I'm adding more nooch, a little bit, and I'm going to add a tiny bit more vinegar. So I went low on the nooch, so that's why I'm adding a little bit more. And just a tiny hit of vinegar, and maybe a bit more rosemary. And I really encourage you to do this with recipes, guys. You know, like, make it, taste it, and then adjust. Everyone has different preferences for those seasonings, right? You might even want a little bit of heat in there, a little bit of chili pepper or something like that. Oh, I forgot I did want to add a tiny bit more tahini. I think it will benefit from it because fat is a flavor carrier, right? So when you remove oil from a recipe, oil carries flavors. That's that whole like lusciousness I was talking about. So it's useful to add something like tahini or sea butter or avocado. It depends on the recipe what you want to use to carry the flavor. So that's why I'm adding a little bit more tahini. And is that it? I think so. And that's it. So guys, you can then, if you want to heat this, you could, like if you want to warm it up and make a warm dip with it, that would be really nice. And what would be awesome is if you heated it in a dish and then put some nut parm on it or seed parm. You know what I mean? Like parmesan made with nutritional yeast and seeds or nuts. I've got one on my site, a couple on my site, I think. And there it is. And yeah, I was just checking the comments. That's it there. It's very yummy. And you can freeze it. Freeze hummus, totally. It's easy to freeze it and then easy to thaw it, right? And that's it. So I've got that made, and then I'll have some, I'm actually going to puree just a tiny bit more after we get off the video because I can see that I'd like to smooth out a bit more, but it's noisy, so I want to keep just pureeing. On an unrelated note, we were out of greens this morning for my green smoothie, and we were growing kale this summer, and look, we still have some. And you know, we had some cold days in December. It's not super cold now, but it's certainly not, you know, growing season for sure. And I got lots of kale still out there. So I was pretty happy to see that. That's that. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the recipe. Let me know what you'd like to work on, like what other recipes you might like me to feature next. I was thinking of doing my lemon cranberry muffins. I was even thinking of showing how to almost create a recipe, like finding things you have in your fridge and then perhaps being inspired to create something with it. The only thing with that is I won't have a recipe for you to refer to, like a link, so that's why I haven't done that, but I could certainly do something like that on video. All right guys, have a good day, go make some hummus, and again, thanks for the kind notes. I'll be back soon. Bye.